There is a lot to unpack with this video, but what I want to talk about is from a filmmaking perspective, why this video feels a little bit weird, from the compositional choices as well as a bit of a problem with the color matching. You can see here in the close shot that the image is far more saturated. This is because the black point is sitting a little bit too high in the wide shot. So I think a lack of contrast is being introduced into the frame by whatever light is in the top right of frame. You can see that there's some light flaring coming from here. What this is doing is it's contributing to raising the black point of the image, which is washing out the color. You can see in the microphone that it's not really the correct black, especially when you compare it to the closer shot, which is a little bit more accurate. There's also a red sheen across the whole of the image, and beyond just looking at the image, we can also see this in the scopes. So this is a technical readout of the frame where it's a representation of the colors, and the top of this graph is pure white and the bottom of the graph is pure black. And you can see how red and green are sitting a little bit high. You can see the comparison here on the scopes when we switch back and forth. This is the B cam, the close. It's still not perfect, but you can see how the red and green values are sitting much closer to black. So you can see here by slightly pushing some blue into the shadows and then a touch of magenta into the highlights, bringing the shadows down and the highlights up, you counteract that sort of red tinge. So this is before. This is after. You can see how black is reintroduced into the frame and it makes the shot a lot nicer. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the compositions of the frames. So do keep in mind that this is supposed to be a bit more of an informal video. It's supposed to create a sense of connection with the player base, so that's why they've made decisions like bringing the microphone into frame. You know, you could very easily hide a lapel or have a overhead microphone and then the mic would be removed from shot, but by bringing the microphone into frame, it makes it feel a little bit more homemade, a little bit more genuine, adds a sense of authenticity. That being said, starting with the B camera, I'd like to see a little bit more headroom here. It's a little bit tight. Just a fraction more, I think, there. In terms of the dead space and the positioning of the subject, it's quite nicely framed. It feels like the camera is slightly tilted down onto him, so it makes him feel slightly small and weak. So I think either bring it down to eye level or slightly tilt up towards him will create a sense of authority that you want from a lead game developer. I think some of these background elements could be positioned a little nicer. I think the microphone is sort of intruding on the lamp here a little bit and everything sort of feels a little bit busy and clustered. We've got quite a lot of space here and here to the edge of the frame, and then the lamp and the bush all sort of overlapping with the microphone. Just bringing this microphone arm down a little bit to create a bit of separation between the top of the microphone arm and the bottom of the lamp would have made things feel a little bit more like each object had its own place. Speaking about the lighting of this setup, I already mentioned briefly about the light here creating some flaring. Flaring can be nice intentionally, but in this case I don't think it's quite working just because it's creating such a difference in the luminosity between the two shots. It seems to be like they need a bit more of a softbox to diffuse the light a little bit more, because we're creating quite unflattering highlights across the forehead and the nose. And also there's some quite unflattering shadows falling against the face under the chin area and under the nose area and then a little bit under the eyes. I think this is a nice example in terms of the lighting where you're not getting those harsh sheens on the forehead or any of that shadowing under the chin. Compositionally as well, personally, I would bring this lamp either fully into frame or remove it entirely. Having it sort of half in, chopped off at the edge of the frame, especially when you've got a lot of dead space here, the plant, it contributes to a feeling of the frame feeling cramped. What's nice about the lamp is it's some practical lighting within the frame. It grounds the scene in reality. It gives a reason for the overall shot to be quite warm in its colors. I also like that they haven't gone crazy on the shallow depth of field. It's a nice level. They haven't completely annihilated the background. You do get some detail there, but there is also a separation between the subject and the background. And then more as a general point, if we're thinking about the sense that we want to create, that this is a friendly game developer talking to the community, it would have possibly been nice to shoot this in front of the office space or a working area. This is a very, very overall dark composition, which is almost foreboding, imploring a sense of danger. This is almost the kind of interview setup you might want to have for a very serious discussion, whereas this is about a video game. Anyway, I don't expect this video to get many views, but I thought it was an interesting discussion to have, and it's something I can provide some actual value on. With that being said, see ya!